Borthakur IAS Academy, an endeavor of excellence.
Borthakur IAS Academy.
Hello everyone, welcome to Borthakur's IAS Academy, Northeast's premier institute for UPSC, APSC and NPSC preparations. I'm your friend Atreyi and today I'm here with another segment of Current Affairs 365 dated 18th of May 2021. Please like and share this video and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also follow us on Facebook as well as Instagram. So now let's get started. So the first news of the day is regarding the spread of COVID-19 during second wave, specifically in the rural areas of our country. We will see why the rural areas are more vulnerable, okay, and why the recovery rate is slower compared to the towns and cities of our country. And finally, we will see what are the possible measures that can be taken to tackle the second wave in the rural areas. We are all aware of the situation at the national capital and along with it the big cities, okay, how they are battling the second wave of COVID-19. At the same time, it is also important to mention here that these cities and the big cities, they are showing early signs of recovery. But this is not the same when it comes to the smaller towns and cities and the rural areas of our country. During the first wave, when the first lockdown was declared last year in March, the spread of virus was not very high in the rural areas. It was mainly because of the following reasons, which included travel restrictions, okay, and gathering of people was also not much even after the lockdown was lifted. Then the virus, it had slower transmissions in the village area because of the lower population density. There people live in relatively open areas, right? So the intensity of spread of this virus was not very high. And at the same time, the village people or the people who belong to the rural areas, they don't have these comorbidities like hypertension, diabetes and cardiovascular diseases. So the risk of severe illness or death is also relatively low there. But this time, as the second wave has hit the nation, the rate of seriousness is quite high in the rural areas. India has suffered a lot during the second wave overall, right? And specifically, the situation is not good in the rural areas because of the inadequate health infrastructure there, lack of trained health workers, and poor availability of drugs, medicines, oxygen supplies, okay, and also vaccines, right? And the most important thing is poor connectivity to the higher levels of care, which is quite low in many districts which are which have a rural population. So these are the main reasons why this time the rural areas are way more vulnerable, okay. They are battling this but with no signs of proper recovery, right? So there are certain measures which can be taken in order to deal with this current situation. First of all, the frontline health workers, they will have to pay household visits for symptom surveillances and case detections. No doubt they are doing it, but it has to be done in a more, in a better planned manner. Then engagement of the local community-based organizations which have already the grassroots presence there. They can assist the delivery of these health and social services. Home care support and monitoring is a must because there are not many hospitals in the rural areas, okay. And so to keep all the patients in the hospital, providing hospital beds there will not be a very easy choice for the administration there. So home care support and monitoring is a must. Moreover, emergency transport systems can be implemented for those who are seriously ill and they need to be transferred to the advanced care facilities, okay, to provide them advanced care facilities. And this must be organized with assurance of availability, affordability and equity, right? And along with it, all the other essential needs, they can be provided at the doorstep. We can take an example from the China's model, which was practiced last year in Wuhan, right? So there was a model where voluntary workers, they used to provide this essential commodities to all the individuals, okay, at their doorstep, and they used to work for them so that there is no gathering and people don't have to come out of their home for any important work also, right? Then large gatherings, they must be prohibited even after the lockdown or restrictions are uplifted, okay? And at least for the next 6-7 months, we should try to avoid large gatherings in the rural areas. The second topic is prioritizing the right to life. Here, under this topic, we will discuss some of the important measures that the Supreme Court has taken, okay? It has directed the center and state to provide certain emergency services to all the individuals, okay? Then we will see the vaccine drive, how it is going on and what went wrong in the vaccination policy of our country, because now we can see a lack of vaccines and important essential drugs. Along with it, we can also see how a certain age group has been forced to pay for the vaccines in the private centers, right? So that we will discuss. And finally, we will see how the states, okay, individually, they can take certain range of measures that will prioritize the right to life of every individual, okay, and also it will initiate assured economic recovery for all, right? So here we will be discussing all those aspects, and we'll see how it can provide a faster recovery in general. This news is actually in continuation with the previous news, okay? That it was about the recovery of the rural areas, what can be done to speed up the process of recovery in those areas. And here we are discussing how we can prioritize the right to life, which is the basic right of every individual, okay? And how we can come out of this situation as a stronger nation by keeping all the different sections of the society together, okay? So the Indian population, it is dealing with the impact of several crises. First is the COVID-19, okay? Then there is this rapid insecurity of job loss. Then also comes the decline in income, because if you have to work from home, then for most of the private organizations, they have they limit the incomes of the individuals. And then because of all these reasons, there has been an increase in mass hunger, which has disturbed the nutrition level of those individuals who are suffering from lack of who are unable to get proper nutrition in this time. And this has been a very long period, starting from last year's March, okay? Those people who are the migrants and the laborers who are dependent on daily wages, their nutrition level have decreased a lot, okay? And also it was seen that even when the lockdown was lifted last year, 2/3 of the families, there it was reported that they had started eating less than they used to do before the lockdown. And this has also had a severe impact on their health, right? So these are all the factors which our population is currently dealing with, right? And so the Supreme Court on 13th of May, it had directed the center and the state governments of the states of Punjab, Haryana and Uttar Pradesh to provide free rations without insisting them to provide any valid ID proof, okay? And they have also, and Supreme Court has also asked the states to run kitchens which will provide free meals twice a day. This particular step of the apex court, it shows that it has acknowledged the hunger crisis which is currently prevalent in the country, and also it has realized that it is very important to address this particular issue at this point of time. Now let us have a look at the vaccine policy of our country. We all know that being vaccinated against COVID-19 is essential for defending one's right to life, okay? And government in this regard, it must respect everyone's right to life and also should make the vaccines equally available to all the recipients irrespective of their capacity to pay. We all know that India is making people between the age groups of 18 to 45 years pay for their vaccines, right, in the private clinics. But in contrast, we have seen that the countries like United States, where most of the medical system is privatized, there they are providing the vaccines free of cost to each of their citizens, right? So we must also make the vaccines available to all the individuals at all centers, irrespective of being private or public. There we must allow them to get vaccinated at free of cost. Now the main question here is, even though India is engaged in vaccine diplomacy, right? It has been providing free vaccines to so many nations. So what went wrong in India's vaccine policy that today we have to face this crisis at this particular point of time when India is battling the second wave of COVID-19? First of all, what the main problem was that government, it did not ensure adequate production through compulsory licensing of the producers, right? Because of that, there is scarcity of vaccines now in the market. Secondly, it did not order enough vaccines. It should have paid more attention to its own population rather than distributing vaccines to maintain the bilateral ties. Not only this, it also introduced differential pricing, which forced the state governments of the respective states to compete with each other and also with the private clinics to buy these vaccines. And lastly, it allowed price rise by Bharat Biotech and Serum Institute of India at a point of time when it should have focused on providing vaccines to each and every individual of the nation at free of cost. It allowed price rise, which changed the game altogether, and this led to a competition. It led to a competition among the states and also among all the private centers to collect as much vaccines as possible, okay, and then to sell them at a high rate. So now, as a way ahead, a lot of responsibility lies on the state government, because as I have already mentioned that the state needs to take a wide range of measures that will not just prioritize the right to life, but it will also ensure economic recovery of all the sections of our society. First of all, they can provide money transfer, in cash of around 7,000 rupees per household for at least the next 3 months to specifically those who are without any regular formal employment, okay? And they should also make provision for free meals and rations. This should be implemented by all the state governments, not just by the states of Punjab, Haryana and UP, but all the states where lockdown has been declared, okay, and where the rate of positive cases are increasing every day, right? Then they can go for an expanded production and central procurement of the vaccines, okay, which can be distributed for free immunization to all. The next news is regarding the tragic death of 18 elephants due to lightning, and recently this incident took place in Assam, and the preliminary post-mortem report, it indicated that these elephants, okay, they were struck by lightning, and this variety of Indian elephant is one of the 3 extant which has been recognized and is native to the land of Asia. This is categorized as endangered in the IUCN Red List, and its population has been declining since 1930s. The main threats include loss due to any natural calamity, okay, like flood or lightning, due to accidents which occur in the railway tracks, okay, and also because of the degradation and fragmentation of their habitat. And because of this, it was included in Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. So now we will see how does lightning, it kills animals. So lightning, they can kill or injure animals in a number of ways. Let us just quickly go through some of the possible ways. First being direct flash. If any animal is present in an open field, okay, they may be struck directly by lightning, and if a part of its body it is in touch with some other object, then that can result in their injury or death. Specifically the taller animals, they are more vulnerable, and we all know that elephants, these are such mighty creatures, so that their structure might be a reason of this particular accident. Then also because of side flash, when lightning strikes any tall object like tree or post, okay, it may generate a side flash, and that can strike the animal which is standing just underneath the object. Touch potential. in case of tall animals, okay, if the body is in contact with the ground while another part of its body is at higher elevation, then the contact with a lightning struck object can pass partial current through its body. And third is the step potential, which is a very common lightning hazard, specifically among the four-legged animals. When the animal's front and hind feet, they are far apart, okay, a partial current may pass through the body under certain circumstances. And since elephants' front and hind feet, they are wide apart, okay, it might appear that it make it more vulnerable than any smaller animal to such hazards. And the Bamuni Hill in Assam, where this particular accident took place, it did not have any tall trees that could have taken the brunt of the lightning that struck these animals. So these are the probable reasons how, probable ways how lightning can affect or it can injure or kill any animal. So the next news is under Indian polity, and this is regarding the West Bengal government's decision to set up a Vidhan Parishad or a legislative council. For setting up a legislative council, first of all, a bill has to be introduced in the assembly, which will require a nod from the governor, okay. And India, we all know, it has a bicameral system of legislature, and just like the parliament which has two houses, a state can also have a legislative council in addition to the legislative assembly. And the article which is related to the setting up of legislative council is Article 169 of our constitution. The states that are having a legislative council, it includes Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Maharashtra, Karnataka. Legislative council was also there in Jammu and Kashmir, but in the year 2019, the Jammu and Kashmir Legislative Council was abolished through the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Bill, and it reduced the state of Jammu and Kashmir to union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Now, what is this Article 169 all about? Okay, it is regarding the creation and abolition of Legislative Council. The Parliament, it can abolish a Legislative Council whenever it exists, okay, or it can also make provision for creation of a Legislative Council by simple majority. By simple majority, we mean a majority of the total membership of the Assembly and also a majority of not less than 2/3 of the members of the Assembly who are present and voting. Now, what is the composition of Legislative Council? Under Article 171 of our Constitution, the Legislative Council can, of a state, it shall not have more than 1/3 of the total strength of the State Assembly and also not less than 40 members. Just like the Rajya Sabha, this Vidhan Parishad is a continuing chamber and it is a permanent body and is not subjected to dissolution. The tenure of the members is 6 years, with 1/3 of the members retiring every 2 years. So the next news is regarding the red-eared slider. This is an invasive species, okay, and it can become a major threat to the biodiversity of water bodies across northeastern regions of India. The northeastern region is home to more than 72% of the total varieties of turtle and tortoise species of our country, okay. And the red-eared slider, it derives its name from the red stripes which are present around its ears, okay. And from this, it provides the ability to slide quickly off any surface into the water. This is also very popular pet because of its small size, easy maintenance and relatively low cost. Why it has been considered as a reason for concern is because of the following reasons. First of all, it is an invasive species, okay. Because of its nature, they grow fast and virtually leave nothing for the native species to eat, and this in turn has a negative impact on the areas and also the species which live together with them, okay. Then the people who keep these turtle as their pets, they become sensitive about the turtle conservation, but in turn they endanger the local ecosystem unknowingly by releasing them in the natural water bodies after they outgrow the aquarium, tank or pool in whichever they are kept at their respective homes, right? And also this can have a negative impact on the human health because These species, they can accumulate toxins in their tissues which can be passed on with the food chain up to the humans. So this was all about today's session. I'll see you all again tomorrow with another session of Current Affairs 365 only on Borthakur's IAS Academy, Northeast's premier institute for UPSC, APSC and NPSC preparations. Till then, take care, keep learning.
Borthakur IAS Academy. প্রস্তুতি আৰু অধ্যয়নৰ নিৰ্ভৰযোগ্য ঠিকনা
Borthakur IAS Academy.